Hey, so good to see you, even though I can't see you. It's another beautiful day in the neighborhood, and I'm so excited that you are here at the Perseverance Podcast. My name is Kelvin Crosby, also known as the DeafBlind Potter, and I truly am blessed to be able to say that. There are days when you wonder, can you keep on going? Today's guest is a good friend of mine. You will be inspired because this man truly allows you to understand how can you persevere through your challenges. You ready to go on the journey with me? Let's do this. Persevering is what can allow you to overcome. But you have to find joy in the pain that you live with. It's not going to be easy, but the reward and the character that you will build in persevering through your challenges will be so rewarding. It will give you so much hope. Are you ready to persevere through your challenges? Let's do this. Hey, Antonio, how you doing, man?
The best and the greatest thing in the world to be alive is today, and it's good to be here in the new year, starting my year off on the Perseverance Podcast, the place where lives are transformed.
I think what's amazing is how we got to know each other and how God is growing you in ways that you never really saw coming. I never saw coming. How God is using you to transforming lives. But before we get there, let's dive into your testimony. So tell me, how were you raised, and where were you raised?
Yeah, man. My name, first of all, my name is Coach Antonio Landis Thompson, born in the beautiful island called Eleuthera, Bahamas, and grew up in Nassau, Bahamas, under the leadership of Dr. Miles Monroe, who was my spiritual father and mentor, who taught me everything about leadership. I was involved with a group called System Tree, Kevin Harris, now we call him Minister K, Delano Wade Johnson, and also another brother by the name of Charles Kemp. And what we did as young musicians, we traveled throughout the U.S. and the Caribbean with Dr. Miles Monroe, just impacting people, using our gifts that God has given us into schools, into prisons, into homes, churches, and different arenas. It was an amazing ride. As a young age, at 9 years old, I knew that there was something more to life than just waking up in the morning and going to school. And so at 9 years old, this church would come in our neighborhood on Saturdays and ask permission. Is it all right that we come and pick up your kids for church on Sunday? And what they would do, they would go all over the island. And on Sunday, they would use the school buses, their school buses, because it was a church and it was a school associated with the church. And so on Sunday mornings, there was no excuse. These buses would come with the permission of and the consent of the parents. They would come and pick you up, carry you to church. But on Sundays, we would not go into the church because what they would do, they would use the various classrooms based on your age. So 8-year-old boys will be in a class, 9-year-old girls will be in a class, 11. That was one of the forms of me getting into the knowledge and awareness of Christ. And even before that, I grew up in a Christian home and we would always travel and go to church. But I say all of that to say this. I was like 9 years old. And I remember in that classroom, I accepted Christ into my heart. So it was in my classroom. And also one night when I was home around 9 years old, I accepted Christ into my heart because I knew that there was something more than life and death. But then after I accepted Christ in my heart at 9 years old, I thought life was it. That's all that I needed. And one day I was at church at Dr. Miles Monroe. I was probably around 13, 14, 15. And he walks into church one day and he asked the question that changed my life. He said, "What is your purpose in life?" And there were about 200, 300, 400 people in the room, but I felt like he was talking to me. So being a great communicator, an effective communicator he is, he said, do you know the reason why you are here? I said, what? Do you know where you came from? Do you know where you are going? For the first time in my life, the biggest question in my life before that question was, when I die, where will I go? Will I spend eternity in heaven? Will I spend eternity in a place called hell? At 9 years old, I didn't even want to chance it. I know there was a good side and a bad side. But up to that point, I never heard the word purpose. And for the first time when he asked that question to me, I realized I was placed in this earth for a purpose. That I am not a mistake in life. Yep. That my life had significance. But what puzzled me was that I didn't know where the answer to come from. Mm-hmm. And I realized, and he explained about the principles of purpose. If you want to know the purpose of something, you never ask the thing. If I want to know the purpose of the Apple computer, I don't ask the Apple computer. If I want to know the purpose of the microphone, I don't ask the microphone. If I want to know the purpose of the fruit, I don't ask the fruit. I ask the one who created it. If I want to know the purpose of the beautiful Mona Lisa or beautiful painting, let me find the artist. Even though the artist might be deceased or dead, they might have written down this painting or this picture is a portrait of my late mother. I painted this when she was 5 days before her death. And it gives you a whole explanation of what that picture is all about because it came from the one of the creators.
So you went through this journey, figuring out what your purpose was. So you're asking this question. You get in your 20s and you're still wrestling with this question. That really, you're like, God, what is my purpose? What do you want me to do? But you realize, I got to make an income. I need to go to school. So kind of tell us that story.
Now, the good thing about it is that after I graduated out of high school, I had no intentions of going to college because in my mind, I was not college material because I said all of my life I was a C student and whatever you speak into existence comes into existence. So be careful what you say over yourself. So from grade 4 to grade 12, I struggled being a C student. So therefore, when I graduated from high school, I didn't think I had college material. My mom was a teacher. Even after school, I started going to like night classes to further my education. And I was involved with junior achievement before I graduated from high school. And one day, I was working with this company, a maintenance company, and this gentleman, his name is Byron Woodside. He asked me one day, what college are you going to? I'm out here doing like some maintenance work, lawn care work or what have you. He didn't ask me, are you going to college? He said, what college are you going to? He asked me something he saw in me that I didn't even see in myself. Because he saw me in junior achievement, this guy with so much potential, so much ambition, so much motivation and excitement, but he saw me out there just working. And so for the first time, I started thinking, wow, maybe I could go to college. Then I started hearing the stories of Pastor Miles, how he stepped out in faith and he went to Oral Roberts University. Then the assistant pastor, Dr. Richard Pinder, he went to Oral Roberts University. My youth pastor, who's the pastor of the church now, Dr. Dave Burrows, Bahamas Faith Ministry, after a crash of Pastor Miles, after they died in the plane, he took over. All of them went to college. So I saw all of these faith examples of going to college. So before I came to the U.S., I already knew my purpose. Now, even though I knew my purpose when I came to the U.S. to go to college, in college, I still made mistakes. But because I knew my purpose, it kept me out of a lot of trouble. So I'm so grateful that when I came to the United States of America to further my education and go to college, I didn't come searching for my purpose. Here's the thing that really puzzled me, though. Even though I discovered my purpose before I came to college, I didn't know how that purpose was going to unfold. I was thinking that just because God showed you your purpose, it is going to just happen. And for a long time, to be honest with you, I was just waiting on my purpose to unfold. Example, you gave me, extend your hand for me the opportunity to come on your podcast. That's an opportunity for me to walk in my purpose. Here's the thing. I could have said no. thinking that the podcast was just going to drop in my lap. I didn't realize before you even asked me to come on your podcast, I had to take some type of initiative. Okay, say hi to you, get to know you. So what I learned about this purpose thing, and it took me many, many years, and a lot of you out there, listen, it took me many years to realize that God shows you your purpose. He's the orchestrator of your purpose, but you are very instrumental in making that purpose come to pass. And for years, I was just sitting on all of this talent, all of this ability, knowing my purpose, those are my anointing. People ask me, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? I remember when a lady said something, I posted where I was going to speak somewhere, and a lady, she said, it's about time. And she didn't say that in a negative way. She meaning that there's so much potential on you. So there's some people who struggle with not finding their purpose, but also a lot of us, after we discover our purpose, we kind of struggle on how to let that unfold you. And I encourage you today, if you know your purpose and you're walking in that purpose, take the initiative, because God is going to show you the garden, right? He's going to provide the tools. He's going to provide the seed. He's going to provide the labor. But guess what? You are the one who have to go out there, take that seed, put it in the ground, water it, but then he's going to provide the sunshine for the plants to grow.
This is what's really interesting, because I know you. I know a little bit about your story. I'm gonna pull some of the stuff out. So you come to the United States.
I've been to Benedict College in South Carolina State.
You got your degree.
Yeah.
Met the love of your life.
Yep.
You get married.
Yeah.
You guys have kids.
Yeah.
But you're still not doing your purpose.
Yeah.
You're still sitting. And then you make a commitment to yourself that I will never go work at a university. And then where are you at?
I'm working out of school.
Exactly.
Coaching, speaking, and working out of school. Yeah.
But then you find yourself burning like a fire. You've been listening for so long to other people having their purpose.
Yeah.
And then you're like, no, I got to do it. I got to do it. We met. You already were working on your book. You had some idea about a podcast. And you were trying to get there. And you're just asking God, are you going to open up the door? But you realize, I need to get certified in coaching. These vessels make it more powerful for God to be able to use me. You had to go through the season of knowing that your purpose is what God wants, but you also got to be able to be willing to be in the car with God, not driving the car, but you have to be willing to go on the journey. There was a point this last year for you. You were like, I need to get in this car. What was that point?
For years, my wife said something to me one day, and I said this on Unleash. She said, you know what? You always helping people. When are you going to do your thing? When are you going to be the leader? The way I was raised up under the leadership of Dr. Miles Monroe and being System 3, I was taught to be a leader, right? But I didn't have a problem being a team player. You don't have to be the front person. But for years, I didn't want to be so-called in the front. Everybody in the front is going to see Antonio Landis, Thompson, King Tunes, Coach. No, let me be in the back. And God will say, no. I want you to be in the front. There's nothing wrong with you being in the front. And there's nothing wrong with you being out front. Because guess what? Whether you in the back or in the front, people will always see the true colors of you, and people will always see the spirit on which you are operating in. Because I was thinking, if you try to put yourself in the front, you're trying to be all of that. You're trying to be chauvinistic. You want to try to let everybody see what you're doing. No. You could be in the back and people could see that type of spirit, what you're operating in. And so I had to get over, it's all right, Antonio, to put yourself out there. And then God gave me this analogy. I have a reel on YouTube, and it says that if you see someone dying of thirst and you have a cup of water and they don't know you have that cup of water, but you know they are dying and you don't let them know that you have that cup of water, even though you see them dying, you will be very selfish. Meaning that if you have your gift, your purpose, and you see that person in need over there, It could be they're struggling financially. It could be that they're struggling in marriage. It could be that they're struggling suicidal. Whatever it is, you have it. That's your purpose. And for you not to let them say, hey, I can help you in this. And they say, oh, I really need the help. For you not to do that, you will be unselfish. And when I start to realize, whoa, you trying to tell me, if I don't let the world know, hey, I can motivate you, I can inspire you, I can encourage you, I can coach you. Hey, world, if I don't let the world know just how I discover my purpose, and I went down that journey, that I could show you and help you navigate down that road of discovering your purpose, and I'm walking past you every day in the so-called world of social media or world of life, and I'm seeing you dying without purpose, not knowing who you are, not realizing that there's something big in life, not realizing that there's a God in life. For me to just do that every day and wake up, go to my job, or wake up every day and just be a successful coach and speaker and go around the world, I would be selfish. And when I started realizing that, Calvin, that's when there was a shift into my life. I said, guess what? I got to go all out. I cannot hold back. And so whether you're working on a job or whether you own your own business full time, it's full throttle. Let's go after it.
Let's look at the timeline. Antonio became a Christian when he was 9 years old. Didn't know that he had a purpose until he was 16, 17 years old. But somebody believed in him and he went to college. But love does weird things to you. It can get in the way of your purpose.
Ooh, that is true.
However, that love also can encourage your purpose. There's a story that you tell about your wife telling you, Antonio, go do your purpose.
Yeah.
Can you tell us that story?
She was like, you always helping everybody. And you know what I realized? Be very careful who is speaking in your ear. Because that person who was constantly speaking in your ear has influence. And my wife, she was like, you always helping people. When are you going to do your thing? She said, when are you going to finish that book?
Well, let's talk about that book.
Oh, the book is definitely coming up.
So it'll be out probably in March or...
I want push to have it out in about 3 months.
Where will they be able to find your book?
My book will going to be definitely on the website, AntonioLandisThompson.com. I'm excited because I just know that this is going to open up a whole different door for me. Because a lot of people who can't listen to me or see me, they'll be able to look out at something and say, oh, this was Antonio Landis Thompson.
So what's amazing is when we first met, you were still wrestling with your book. You were still wrestling. How am I going to be able to do speaking gigs? How am I going to do this? How am I going to support my kids? How am I going to support my wife? And because you decided to get in the car and let God drive, and you wrote your book, you're getting your coaching license, and you already got your first inspirational speaking gig lined up, and you're starting to see God do something in you. So I think this is where I want to encourage you. No matter how tough life is, how many distractions there are, God still has a purpose for you. To persevere through your challenges, you need to seek God's purpose and give Him the opportunity to provide you the tools that you need to have His purpose fulfilled. Be willing to do the work that God is calling you to do so that your purpose can be fulfilled. This didn't happen last night for Antonio. This happened over time. And now we're seeing slowly God unveil this beautiful coaching opportunity that Antonio is building out. It's amazing when I get a voice message from Antonio on the daily, almost, it seems like every day. He's like, the greatest day to be alive is today. And I'm like, yes, it is. You're reminded that today is today's worries, not tomorrow's. Antonio, if they want to find your podcast, your website, anything they want from you, where would they need to do that?
Everything is at AntonioLandisThompson.com. I haven't recorded a podcast recently. People are still going and listening to it. That's one thing I like about podcasts. People are still listening to the podcast. And there's about, I think like about 50 episodes. You could scroll down and trust me, there'll be one for you. But anything that you need to connect with me, AntonioLandisThompson.com. I'm on social media, on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. The easiest way to probably reach me is either through my website or through LinkedIn. Also, don't forget to check out my YouTube page. Subscribe to it, listen to one of my videos, watch it, and share it. Let's continue to create and build a community of success, greatness, purpose, and destiny.
Well, here comes your Perseverance Corner. Today's passage is Matthew 13:31-32. He put another parable before them, saying, "The kingdom in heaven is like a grain of mustard seed that a man took and sowed into his field. It's the smallest of all seeds, but when it has grown, it's larger than all the garden plants and becomes a tree, so that the birds in the air come make its nest in the branches." What is interesting about this passage, if you think about the wildfires that are happening in California and all the other things, it's amazing how one spark can change the world. It's kind of like this seed. All it takes is one mustard seed to change the world. When I think about Antonio's story, he's being lit on fire and starting to plant seeds in places that he never thought he would ever plant seeds. And I want to encourage you today to really think about sharing Christ with somebody, sharing your testimony with somebody. You don't know what your testimony is going to do for that person. But one thing I can say, all it takes is a little water on that mustard seed, and it becomes a big tree for the birds. And the birds are going to feed off that tree. And then the birds are going to fly and plant more trees. It's amazing to see how God created his creation. All it takes is one little seed to make a giant tree. All it takes for you to share your story with just one person. And then you'll see that person be so fruitful for Jesus Christ. So I want to encourage you today to do just that. Know that you were made for a purpose. One of those purposes is to share your story with others and help others go through their seasons as well. So, that wraps up the Perseverance Corner. Here's your announcements. First announcement is, if you're wanting some DeafBlind Potter pieces, they're for sale. So go to DeafBlindPotter.com. And if you haven't been watching the videos lately, you'll see that the color of my clay has changed. So go check out the video, share it with somebody, and encourage somebody with these videos. I tell you, I am taking a different approach to how I've been making my videos, and we just had one, as of this recording, almost hit 19,000 views on the TikTok, and YouTube is doing some cool stuff as well. So everything that you're going to find is on the YouTube and the TikTok on the DeafBlind Potter side. Alright, so second thing here, See Me Cane. We got to keep praying. As of this recording, I'm leaving today to go do some testing on the See Me Cane. And when the recording comes out, I will already test it and probably have been back there and back to San Diego twice. Because we're really aggressively trying to get this thing off the ground by spring and get it launched this summer. And so we're aiming for that. We're trying to get it there. Pray for protection over the people working on the See Me Cane. There's been a lot of health issues, especially with my main engineer, and just pray that everybody is protected through the Holy Spirit and that everybody is okay. Because it got scary for one of my people that have been working on the See Me Cane, so I want to encourage you to just keep praying over it. Lastly, in regards to family things are still the same, and I don't really have a lot to update on that. So, as I always say, go live beyond your challenges, and I'll see you next month. Now you ready to persevere for your challenges today. Thank you for joining me on the Perseverance Podcast. If you'd like to get a hold of me, you can email me at Kelvin at perseverancepodcast.com. You can also follow me on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at DeafBlind Potter. If you like to buy some merch or some DeafBlind Potter pieces, you can go to DeafBlindPotter.com. Please give us a 5-star rating and subscribe to the Perseverance Podcast so you don't miss an episode. That way, you and I can continue living beyond our challenges and persevering through them too.